So I mentioned in my introduction to the idea of symbolic capitalism, talking about this book, that I don't share like a lot of the values and lifestyle preferences of symbolic capitalists, even though I have symbolic capital and my last job was effectively as a symbolic capitalist. But I've realized there's also aesthetic differences too. And one thing I've been thinking about that he talks about is that symbolic capitalists in the US, when reading about like other countries, other people, other experiences, they want to hear about how miserable they are, which has never been my interest. And it's interesting, I didn't pull Maya Angelou, but that was when I read one of her poems, I was surprised by someone who did not like her optimism. And I've talked about, I love The Alchemist, which is a very optimistic book in a way that I think a lot of symbolic capitalists don't like, which is one of the reasons I bring it up. But then I'm thinking about this book, because I've been trying to read more world literature. This book sounded interesting. I got about 2/3 of the way through, and it was just constant brutality and misery. And he was an actual Guatemalan, and he was venting about how awful this guy was, but I did not enjoy reading it, and I felt like I should finish the last third, and it's a short book, so maybe I might, but it is painful to read, and I was not liking it at all, and I was like, maybe I should read this because it happened in Guatemala. And I'm realizing I think the reason that books like this get popular is the same reason that like grimdark is popular. It is this idea of basically, I guess, emotional disaster tourism, kind of emotional poverty tourism, emotional misery tourism, something like that, where they're popular because a lot of symbolic capitalists like reading this kind of thing about how gritty and brutal and awful things are in other places. And I don't like that. And so reading this book kind of set me free a little bit, because I don't feel obligated to read this anymore, which also makes it more likely that I'll actually read it. Because I said, when I feel like I should read a book, it's harder to read. But certainly, I've already been like, yeah, I don't like grimdark, and I'm not going to like defend that. I just think grimdark is awful, but I'm like, oh, this might explain why grimdark is popular, is because even if it's a fantasy world, it is the same kind of misery tourism, and it's also guilt-free because it's not about enjoying stuff happening to real people, it's happening to fictional people. But I don't like that, and so I just found that interesting and wanted to talk about that quickly. Thanks for watching. I'm Magpie, this is Leela, and I'll see y'all in the next one.